Nellie McKay is a British-American actress, singer, who I don't know much about. That's it. That's as much as information as I can give you, apart from the fact that she was in the film P.S. I Love You, which is a film I have not seen. So yeah, if you want more in-depth information from the best music critic around, keep coming here. And this new album I discovered through like people I talk to on Twitter and stuff like that. It's a really good place actually when you're following so many people that love music. You're bound to stumble across more albums that you wouldn't have heard about if you just didn't bother with social media. So that's one of the pros about social media, I must say. And Sister Orchid is certainly a positive in the music discoveries I've had this year. I mean, sure, I don't quite love it, but I think the sound that it conjures up is very lovely. I think it's very nostalgic. It's very 60s soulful vocal jazz. Very much in the in the lanes of like someone like Etta James, or maybe even an Ella Fitzgerald, Nina Simone, all of that classic type stuff that you've heard before. The album is very familiar in its sound. It doesn't exactly stray away from the roots too much, but if it does what it does very well. And Nellie McKay has a beautiful voice. Certainly a voice that stuns you and fits the arrangements on this album perfectly. Some tracks have pretty unique lyrical themes, and then some tracks don't really have that much to offer, unfortunately. Luckily though, it's more of the sound that keeps me grasped to this album much of the time. We have tracks like Small Day Tomorrow, how she's talking about like, tomorrow is the one day where she just doesn't have anything to do. And it sounds very mundane in perhaps a Courtney Barnett type way, but I think the way she sort of just explains what she's going to end up doing and how she's just going to relax throughout the day is actually kind of interesting to listen to, and I don't know why. Lazybones is another one of those songs, essentially just talking about how she's laying in the sun all day, doing nothing. Again, it's very simple, relatable things though. That's the thing, it's got that relatability that I think a lot of people might be connected to. The opening track focuses more on love though. A few other tracks do focus on love, but this one is the most clear-cut one, I guess, because it's basically how she doesn't want like the moon, she doesn't want this sort of grandiose type thing that's been seeped in romance over the years, and you have this sort of expectation of what romance is meant to be, all of these big gestures and stuff like that. All she really wants her romance to be is you. Which is a little corny, I suppose, but I don't know, just the way it leads up to that point where she's like, I just want my romance to be you, and it's just like, no. I'm not being sarcastic or anything. It actually was really nice when I first realised that's what she said. I was like, yeah, we need more of this in music. We do really need this. We need it. Unfortunately though, I think towards the end there are some tracks that just really have nothing to them, that they go nowhere in terms of lyrics, and I guess in terms of sound too. I don't have too much of an issue in the sound sense though, because there are so many lovely whimsical sounds, so many beautiful pianos. I mean, the opening track has a gorgeous sound to it, like not many of the other tracks do. They also have really lovely refrains as well, like, you just get these little passages stuck in your head. Small day tomorrow, and Willow Weeps for Me is another one of those, and the piano on this one is so frantic. It definitely reminds me of some of Nina Simone's more experimental work. Definitely like gives me that vibe of that time. But yeah, lyrically I feel like plenty of these tracks just don't give too much away. It's just kind of like her speaking her mind, or sort of like a memoir type thing. Like, yeah, sure, it has a lot of meaning perhaps to her at that point in time, but like hearing it said out loud doesn't really have the impact I don't think it's supposed to have, unless it's just me. But I don't know, I just feel like some of the tracks really could have had more of a focus with the lyrics. And another gripe, I guess I would say, I mean, like I said, Willow Weeps for Me does really go off kilter with its sound, but maybe it would be good to see what she can take this sound to next, because it's very much nostalgia, a beautiful sound, and something that you don't hear much anymore actually in 2018. Like certainly not. I mean, it's original considering like how much music doesn't sound like this anymore, but at the same time it does sound very familiar from what it's going for. And I would just like to see where she can take it, see if she can add some new elements, like give it a more modernized sound. Sort of like the La La Land soundtrack, which had a very obvious musical influence, a very obvious jazz influence throughout, but there were certainly modernizations on that soundtrack that gave it a very unique flair to what you usually get in music these days, and especially from a musical type of film. Just that kind of uniqueness would be good for Nellie McKay's sound, I think, and I'd definitely be here for it if she went for it on the next release. But it's a very solid album though, like really I enjoy this one. I could imagine myself returning to it more and more, just like late at night, just that nice sort of chilled out sound that you can't really argue with. But yeah, I mean, I'm definitely gonna go with a B. The flaws to this album really don't add up to too many. It's just they're quite glaring at points though, and but you know, for what it is, Nellie McKay really does go for something really nice here, a really lovely sound. And I must say as well, the closing track being a reprise of the opening track was a little bit disappointing. I would have just liked to have heard a different song, but I know a lot of artists do that, and it's not a terrible thing. It just didn't really feel like the album closed off in a very satisfying way. But other than that, very good album. So yeah, make sure you subscribe if you like this review. Listen to the album if you haven't already heard it, because I know not many people are talking about this. But that's what I'm here for. Put you on new things. Listen to this album. Let me know. Have a good day. You're a small little mama.